Okay, we are 10 seconds in, so we're going to get started. We are doing the crafting stream tonight, which is Saturday morning, instead of the usual Sunday morning or Sunday evening, whenever I get around to it. But we're doing this one because I'm going to see my parents and my siblings here in about 8 hours. And their Christmas gifts aren't ready. So I'm going to be taking these that I drew pictures on, and I will be painting those pictures to turn them into proper finished ornaments. And some of these are much more generic than others. I called my mom to ask because I had been racking my brain trying to figure out what on earth to do for several of these, and I've been thinking about it for quite some time. And I finally went, you know what? Let's call Babushka, which is what my mom has all of her grandkids refer to her as. So these are going to be painted with a mix of the Apple Barrel and Craft Smart acrylic paints. They've I've got a fairly decent collection of them because I've been collecting them for ages. For small projects here and there, I've got a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different colors I can work with. Um, some of them obviously are going to get more use than others, but they're all going to be used on this. This is what I use as my painting palette because I just happen to have this royal willow plate, and it's pretty, and it makes an excellent thing for a painting palette because I can mix the paint on it, I can let the paint dry on it, it's super easy to wash. So that's my painting palette, and I've got my vast array of brushes um, that I will be kind of just grabbing what will work for the moment or for a particular thing, and I just lost the cap to one of the some of these are very fine-haired brushes, which means they have a cap on them, and that cap protects the brush. And one of them, there it is, flew off. I think it's that one. Why, yes, I do use my mouth as an extra hand regularly. Actually, I've got several that are this fine. I think it's that one, though. Too small. Who knows? Oh, well. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Sadly, like I was saying though, Babushka, certain of the grandkids just didn't have things that would work for a painted ornament. Like, one of the grandkids, the big story this year for them was that, or last year for them, was at one point there was a big freeze and some pipes burst in their house. Um, as mom put it, I don't think they'd want to commemorate that, though. She's right, they probably don't. Okay, we're going to get started, though, on the first one. So I have two options for white. One is the Apple Barrel white and is just plain white. The other is the Craft Smart Vanilla, which is just slightly off white. We're going to go with the vanilla, mostly because I have more of it. Ooh, that plate is cold. I'm just going over the back in the white because um, I don't like just having the plain wood back. Also, I was dumb and had started drawing on the back, and I don't want that left. So let's see, we're gonna choose. Where's the one I was using last time I did this? Hell if I know. I have far too many brushes. this one will do. I just need a nice flat wide brush so this works. Okay, because we're just going to paint the back, cover up my pencil marks. Probably have to, once the front has been painted and dried, go back and do a second coat on the back to ensure the pencil marks are covered up, but that's fine. None of this is going to be particularly difficult. There's going to be some spots that have like fine detail. It'll be a little more difficult, but honestly, acrylic paint goes really easily onto wood. It dries very quickly, so I'll basically paint one of these and just paint the back, and then I will go back later and paint the front after that one that has been painted already has dried. Um, Biggest thing right here is I'm trying to get a uniform coat, which that's always fun on any surface. And I'm trying to do it without painting my own fingers, which I just did. Oh well, I'll live. Acrylic washes off human skin just as easily as it washes off brushes and other things. So, not too fussed. Believe me, I've painted myself more than a few times. I've done things with acrylic for years. Um, I'm not like my mom who, she can fancy things up with oil paints and they look gorgeous. I do not have the patience to work with oils. They take too damn long to dry. But acrylic dries pretty quickly, dries pretty smoothly. I'm just getting a coating on the outer edges now. Um, and it's okay if I get just a touch or two of white onto the front of the ornament because when I paint it, it will actually be painted um, in such a way that the pretty much the entire ornament is going to be either dark colors or a few bright slashes because it is going to be a nighttime camping scene once all is said and done. This is for my brother and his wife. They both, you guys may remember if you've been watching the crafting stream long enough, last Christmas was their first after both had been in rather awful marriages and they had um, married one another. Okay, we're then going to move on to painting the next one. Um, which is going to have a lot more white on it. Again, I'm going to be covering that back with white to cover up where I had, drawn on it already. But yeah, this is going to be their second Christmas as a married couple or married to each other couple. Um, and so I know that they both enjoy camping and outdoor stuff. My brother has always enjoyed that kind of thing, and his previous wife did not. So a lot of the camping trips he took them on were spent with her fussing and griping because there's bugs and it's hot and there's all these strange animals and something's going to attack our tent and we're all going to starve to death or die of typhoid or that kind of thing. She was not a good fit for him, and my spouse and I knew that from the start, but you don't mention those things. Um, they seem happy, so we'll just see what happens, I guess. Um, but his new wife and he both love camping and they love taking the kids out camping, and so they're gonna get an ornament with a camping trip theme, and so that will be theirs. And then the one that I'm painting the white onto now is for my sister and her husband, who have this weird thing about deer. Um, he's the doe and he's the buck, and I'm just sitting there going, have you thought about how many does and bucks he kills because he's a hunter? Why? Okay, you two seem to dig it, so fine. But, yeah, to me it seems really weird. But what do I know? I'm not them. If it makes them happy, right? Okay, this is. It left sticky all of paint all over my fingers. So let's move my paint cup, my water cup, just a bit so I can put these two both on here because I've got a piece of paper that I'm letting things dry on, um, so they don't get paint all over anything but me. I've got little white dots everywhere now. Hi, Figgy. One of my cats has come to join me. Hello. Yes, I love you. Okay, so um, but yeah, they've got the weird deer thing, and so their ornament is going to be a deer's hoof print. Um, and while part of me is saying, "Oh, you should try doing like coloration to make it look like camo around it," I'm going, "No, that's too much effort. Let's just stick with white with the black deer hoof." I actually found an ornament that is it's a reindeer, and it's cut out, laser cut with a removable back so you can put whatever you want behind it, starry sky or uh, just a solid color. I'm planning on using that for next year's ornament for them, and just painting the removable back and then painting the deer separately to ensure that I don't get one on the other. Okay. Now the rest of the ornaments I have not actually drawn on the back, so I don't really need to do the back, but it kind of feels weird to do the back for the ones for the two parents and not for all of the kids. So, there's 5 kids total that are getting ornaments, so it means a lot of painting for me. Getting a thick enough coat that it'll cover up the control marks. Goal is to get these all painted before I have to go take a shower because you don't want to be stinky when you go visit your family, um, especially if your family's kind of judgmental. So made certain both the boys got a shower before they went to bed. Um, my spouse got a good shower. Uh, we washed clothes. Oop, paint on me. Good job, me. So this one is for one of my nephews who apparently this year has taken up a job as a DJ. So that's what he's getting is a DJ board with a turntable and all. I, when I paint this, do the background to look kind of like a smoky, rave club environment. Um, because when I think DJ, that's the kind of DJ I think of. Um, for all I know, he could be a DJ at a country western bar where they generally don't have the smoky rave environment. They have the smoky beer environment. Um, but I don't know. All I know was what my mom told me about what he's been doing, and I'm just going off that. So, still an exciting thing. A first major job, and you can make pretty good money as a DJ. Um, Especially if you are able to DJ in person, since a lot of DJs don't do that because of COVID now, which I applaud anyone who is actually taking precautions against COVID. Um, Far too many people where I live are not, and so I'm very pleased to hear of anyone who is still going, oh yeah, there's a pandemic going on. We should probably not be gathering in clubs and bars and stuff. Okay, next. So this one is for one of my nephews that has 5 kids, he and his wife. So it's going to be 2 interlocked hearts with then 5 small hearts around them. So, the 2 loving parents and then all 5 of the kids. That's the goal, at least. Is it achievable? Who knows? We'll see how well the painting goes. That's one of the things with my thing is I honestly never know if I'm going to be able to paint what my goal is. Like sometimes I paint something after drawing it, and then I'm like, missed the mark there. Liked the drawing better. Can't get just the drawing back. So you just kind of have to learn to accept your work for what it is. And I mean, a lot of the problems we have with our work is we go back and we look at it after we have already made improvements and we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was that bad at some point. Well, of course you were. You were new. You were starting out. You were learning. You were experimenting. Nothing wrong with any of those things. You've now advanced and now you can recognize mistakes that you'd made previously. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Like, it's okay to look back at your work that is older and go, didn't quite get what I wanted there. But you also need to look at your work that's older and then look at your work currently and go, look how far I've come. Or, oh, hey, I really enjoyed this particular piece. Let's see if I can replicate it in my style now that I've learned more and am better at my art, you know? There's no reason to look at your art and go, oh, nope, I'm just terrible. It's art. You can't really be terrible at it because art is so subjective or objective. The one that means it's entirely up to personal taste and opinion, um, whichever that one is. You can. I've got a friend who is an artist, and he looks at his work and goes, "Ugh, it's awful. It's terrible," because he's comparing it to other artists' work instead of comparing it to his previous work. And then I look at it and I'm going, "Wow, that is so awesome. You did such a good job on that." But that's because I'm looking at it from an outside perspective as somebody who doesn't do art, like, yeah, you guys see me do these crafting projects, and they are a form of art, don't get me wrong. But they're certainly never going to be something that I get paid to do. Um, well, the crochet projects are different, but but certainly nobody's going to pay me to paint these little wooden ornaments. Nobody's going to pay me to draw. Maybe if I'm lucky at some point, somebody will pay me to write, but I can't guarantee that. And honestly, I mean, if it happens, great, but I'm doing this because I enjoy it. And I don't necessarily have a goal of getting paid for any of it, except again the crochet, and that's because I do commissions. Um, but I'm doing it because it's something I enjoy. It's something I want to do. And there's nothing wrong with doing something as a hobby and not monetizing it. Far too many people feel forced into monetizing their work. Um, and some people make a living monetizing their work, and that's great. I applaud them. I actually just paid an artist today to do some artwork for me, um, and it's great. I'm thrilled to be able to give money to an artist for doing something that I certainly can't do. We are making progress. I am using my mouth as a tool far too often. But celery. Okay, next. Two more to go. Let's see if this one's. Yeah. This is now dry enough that I can touch it and not get paint on my fingers, which is what I was going for. Okay. We'll go ahead and do the backs on the other two that remain while we wait for these to dry. That way, once the backs are done, okay, cool. We can do the front on each and all of them one at a time, just like we're doing the backs. More vanilla. I'm, I'm going through an awful lot of this stuff, but that's okay because it's the one that I've got the most of it when it comes to the white, which was another part of why I decided to use it instead of the plain white. It still looks very good. So, ones that I have not done the edges on, I'll of course want to go back and do that before I paint the fronts, because I want to make certain that the edges don't end up bleeding over onto the front too much, at least. Oh, there's more white paint on my hand. Oh well. It should come off when I shower. If it doesn't, oh well, I'll live with it. This is for one of the nephews that didn't really have much happening this year, so it's a generic Christmas present. The other one is going to be a generic Christmas tree. And then the one that I just painted was a generic Christmas stocking. So, um, I don't even know which of the nephews each one is for. Just luck of the draw. Everybody's getting a jar of pear butter along with the painted ornament, so even if they're not thrilled to just get an ornament, they're at least getting food too, which I know my nephew's food is definitely a very appreciated gift. Always has been. big thing I'm trying to do when I paint the edges is try not to get paint where it just bubbles up. So I'm having to go back and effectively just flip the paint off with a quick swipe of the brush. Notice how quickly this paint dries onto the wood because it makes it so much easier to paint and not have to worry that it's just going to become a huge mess. Rose, what the check? Can you guys hear me? Yes, the sound is still there. Okay, great. So, camera has now decided not to work, so that's fun. Um, I'm sure it'll start working again here shortly. It normally does, but for a little bit, you're just gonna get to hear me talk, I guess, while painting. So, I'll try to think of fun and engaging things to say, maybe. I don't know. Very miffed at the camera. It was behaving weirdly the past couple streams, too. I did finally figure out why it wouldn't turn on for one particular stream, which thankfully was a gaming stream, so you guys still had stuff to watch. But it wouldn't turn on because it turns out there's a little switch that has to be flipped to turn the camera on or off. And I had accidentally put it in the off position, and so uh, no camera for that. There we go, that worked. Had to flip the switch and then flip it back. Cool. Might have to hold this one for a bit because I just painted a fairly broad swath of the front with white, and I don't want it to stick to the paper that I'm going to put it on when I set it aside to dry. A bit of buzz on it. I'm pretty sure my nephews will just, upon being presented with homemade pear butter and an ornament, they will hand the ornament to their wives and then hoard the pear butter uh, ferociously because it is sweet and it is sugary and it is food, and they are all men who really enjoy food, which is fine. And I'm not making fun of them for it. It's just, they like to eat, and thankfully they've got my mom, who's an excellent chef, and their mom, who is good at cooking in quantity. Um, you kind of had to learn to be when you had five sons, of which, three were teenagers at one point at the same time. Yeah, you've got to be ready to feed an army when you cook that way. Myself again. Oh well. No harm, no foul. one gets moved over here. This one gets moved over here. And check that one down. Okay, so we've got the fronts of everything done. So now I'm going to clean this brush because I do not like to leave my brushes with paint on them. The brush cleaner tool that I got. It's meant for cleaning makeup brushes, but there's not a huge difference, honestly. Um, both are brushes that are covered in some form of pigment. Um, and for acrylics, it's a pigment that is water soluble, just like makeup is. So, not a huge difference. It's refusing to come clean. I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to just leave it in the water. Okay. It'll keep the paint from drying on it at least, which is one of the goals. Okay. So, we need to paint the next portion. That you hear and you not fall off. Kindly. Yes, hello, baby. So this one is going to be the camping scene, which, first things first, I want to get the tent and fire done. I'll set you on the, the tent is actually going to be done in a mix of Spanish olive and golden brown. And the reason for that is my brother and I both grew up with the old pup tents, I think they were called, um, that were generally a rather unpleasant shade of greenish brown. Yeah, golden brown. There it is. Oops, forgot to shake this one. With acrylic paints, you should probably shake it before opening it up because they tend to have a not a thick oil, but a thin oil inside them that helps to uh, it's what the pigment basically sits in. No, 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 no. You don't get to run down the thing. Okay. Um, but the pigment sits in that thin oil, and then it gets. We're gonna go with the It gets the oil mixing with the pigment. But the suspend suspend the pigment is suspended in the oil, and if it is allowed to, it will um, sort of fall out of the oil, not be properly suspended, and then you've got just you open it up and oh look, there's this gushy mess, and you end up with the oil instead of your paint pigment, and it just kind of is gross and it runs on your palette and it doesn't carry the pigment, so you end up with nothing on your brush except gross, gooey oil. And nobody wants that. Some parts of this are pretty easy. I just can do the broad swath of brown and green mixed, but I am going to have to be careful once I reach the point where I am close to the flames and smoke from the fire pit, because I don't want to accidentally color over those. Now, I'm not going to clean my brush because the next color is black. Uh, it's not going to be a pure black because I'm actually going to mix a bit of the olive green, and a bit of the black, and a bit of the golden brown. And I'm going to mix them all together to make a rather unpleasant off black. But that off black is going to be the inside of the tent. Over gray here in just a few. Wash this brush. Get it clean. But so far, bad job. For a few, the water that is currently all white into clean as I'm going to get it for the moment. Thankfully, I'm wearing a shirt that I don't really care if it gets messy. So, okay. Next thing, we need to do the fire and the wood logs, which one we've already got the brown. So we're just going to use that brown, and we're going to use a different brush because I want a very fine tipped brush for this next bit here. So, anyways, the wood fire. It differentiate the different. What makes these drawings look good is the fact that I do outline them somewhat. It really it makes the finished product. I think the term for it is pop. It makes it stand out just a bit. To me, it's an important part of the process is adding that outline, the differentiation, whatever you might want to call it. Okay, I'm gonna keep using the same brush, so I've got to try and get it very clean, which is not easy because the water I'm using is full of white paint. Just overused it on first brush, or I just that white paint really likes to stick with the water. So I've got orange. Aha, red. Okay. Oh, I wish it wouldn't be. Little bit. That's okay. I just need tiny bit on that one. So fire is honestly kind of a mix of red and orange. Definitely not a uniform color. We're going to do some red. That one we're not going to outline because it is so thin that I'd be worried if I tried that I would just wreck the whole thing. Now, just getting a bit of the water and rubbing it over the white paint that is dried on the plate. We're just gonna that. I don't want the actual paint. I want the ghost of the paint, effectively. Um, so just barely anything there. Just put just a tiny bit into the smoke outline. Shashak. There we go. Okay. Like I said, glad I don't really care if this shirt gets paint on it because honestly, this shirt, I'm going to toss it in the wash when I'm done, and guess what? That paint all going to come right out. Don't know why. Some shirts I couldn't do that with, but these white cotton tank tops from Hanes or Fruit of the Loom or whatever, they accept whatever I throw at them. So, yay. Okay, now I need to make a silver or something close to it. So we're going to start with cobalt blue. The original cobalt blue apparently had actual cobalt in it. Um, Thankfully, they don't do that anymore because it would be very dangerous to work with if they did. Okay, so going to grab our plain white, not their vanilla, but actual white. Take them together. It's only going to be used in one place, so I'm not too worried about making a lot of it. But, oh good, none of the paint smeared. Too shabby, I don't think. Okay. Now we get to paint the forest, um, which is going to be dark, so I don't have to be too specific on things. Both of these just in different spots. We're just gonna basically draw some tree branches or trees in the background just kind of standing up. Oh, there's another one that I forgot to shake. Keep in mind, by the way, I'm not a professional artist. I'm not. You could do this exact same kind of stuff. You could easily do stuff like this on your own, make your own stuff. Yep, just red for this particular bit that I'm doing. Because I'm going to do the dirt around the campfire and under the tent. Dirt in Oklahoma, in a lot of places, is not red. Or not brown, it's red. Um, I don't know what color the dirt is where my brother lives because he's in California. Pretty sure, given that he's right at the Mojave Desert, it's probably sand. So, dark brown. Dark brown with hints of red. Very faint hints of red. Last year I did all of the cross-stitched ornaments, and so Mom assumed I would be doing the same thing this year, and I'm like, no, Mom, I do not have time to do cross-stitch. Painting acrylic on wood takes much, much less time. So, seriously, the biggest time sink for me on this was figuring out what the heck to do drawing-wise for certain of my nephews. One for my brother and his wife, and my sister and her husband were both super quick and easy to figure out. It was just like, oh, okay, that's exactly what I should do. Did it. I did the drawings, I didn't do the paintings. Because I love, doing things like this as presents for people. You would think that I would get them done a bit more expediently. Done. Leaving me fussing and fretting. Is there going to be enough time? Is the paint going to dry fully? Or things like that. Finish it before I have to go see them. Figured out a good way for you guys to see what I'm doing effectively over my shoulder. Um, Promise, as soon as I figure that out, I'll be doing so you guys can see the work in progress as it actually looks, not just the oh, okay, I've finished this part. Let me hold it up and show you guys. Brown, good, obsession, drawing trees. Does that make it much easier to paint now that I'm older? Brown, bigger trees, good batch of the Spanish green, foliage. I've got a different green that I want to use for kind of a blue green, but mix it with a few things that won't be for long. That kind of plasticized, and we ended up with some unpleasant, gooey trails from that green. Paint mixing. Spanish olive. Wintergreen is the name of it. Yeah. I'm just basically making a kind of a greenish haze that says this is plant material. Uh, Plant material, but it also says this is plant material as seen at night. Cozy little camping scene, I'd say. So that one is drying. Okay. Next, this one is the one for my brother in law and my sister. So, first things first, we are going to have to choose. Actually, I think I might do that idea I had mentioned of the almost camo because we've got all these browns and greens, and you can see my painting palette. Why not paint fell off? and landed on my bed. I don't particularly want paint on my bed. So, first things first, we're going to go ahead and get the black to do the hoof. Here happen to have split hose with two little hosies, I guess would be what they are, at the very back end. So capture that. Okay, forming the space that I'm painting it onto. Trying to do all of that without completely butchering my own line work is the biggest issue. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. Okay, so we're going to clean our brush-ish. You can do, but I'm going to try to get it clean. And we're going to use white. The rest of the ornament. Got the painter palette. Big thing with the white. And why I'm doing it is. Oh, wait. I was going to do the camo, not the white. Okay. Hold on. I'll go ahead and paint white in some spots, just right around the hoof mark. That way, just right up to it without actually painting all of it, and it'll give it an almost faint glow look. everything goes well. See, with acrylic, you can actually paint over something that was previously done, and you can kind of hide your mistakes if you're willing to get yourself a touch messy to clean up if you go over where you meant to go. Like I said, we got browns, we got greens. We're just gonna make a whole bunch of really, honestly, kind of icky color. And instead of painting set shapes, we're just gonna blot it down. Big friends overseas would refer to as blodgy wobs. Say, okay then. I mix it with the brown, that will darker brown. Light brown. And one of the things I am not doing right now is cleaning my brush between these color changes. Because that way all of the colors have some shades and reminiscences of one another, which is honestly what you want in actual camouflage. Um, you don't want anything to be too uniform, too perfect, because it will definitely look out of place to whoever you are trying to not be seen by. In the case of hunters, generally, deer, turkeys, moose, elk, whatever they're trying to shoot. Actually, did something similar. If anyone remembers my Kelpie, when I did that, maybe me doing multiple colors, very similar to this, in just little blotchy patches here and there. Um, None of it was uniform. I painted over my own patches a few times, and it was fine because it was meant to look almost like camouflage, and it achieved a very good look at that. So, if you're doing something that's meant to look like camouflage, feel free to paint over yourself. It is perfectly okay. It'll make it look more simple, realistic, whatever you want to call it. More like actual camouflage. Don't be afraid to play with colors. I'm grabbing some of this wintergreen again, which is bluish green. Hey, let's add a touch of the cobalt blue to this. And we'll get this almost myrtle looking paint. Bit of sized. Nothing uniform, nothing identical, nothing that looks just the same as any other bit. Brown. Wee. Funny, but in the military, there's actually scientists who help them design their camo to ensure that it is as useful to them as it could be. Throwing bits of paint, a piece of wood, that look fairly minimal. Yeah, print figure. Maybe I can get the government to pay me dollars and dollars and dollars in large amounts to make camo print for them. Probably not. Nice dream, though. Dumped my paintbrush when I shouldn't have. Can't do it. Two done. Salvage my back. Turned out pretty nice. It's dried now. Campfire scene. Because I did all that squashing mix. I should much dirtier than it was. So now we are doing the DJ board. So I need more of my black. Because this one's going to have a black background. Sorry I keep going quiet while I'm focusing on this. I'm just, focusing on this. Um, it is thrilling to watch me stare down at my hands while I'm painting something that y'all can't see. Promise you the paint is indeed being applied. See? Still need to shower, and I should have been in bed 30-ish minutes ago. Paint. They're much more generic, so it will be a lot quicker and easier. I'm gonna grab some more of that cobalt blue. The green, the block. Use the same color, but we're gonna mix in just a little bit of the green, a little bit of the white, and this time just a touch of the red. Another little bit of this, because I am decidedly running low on it. And brown to it. Leaving that one in the water, grabbing this one, because we've got some fine details to deal with now. So, you know, anything? Not suddenly have fighting kitties. Feet. Plate covered in paint on my feet. And just so y'all know, if you didn't, circles are hard. Circles are especially hard when they're being done freehand. That would be your takeaway today from the crafting stream. Circles are hard. Actually, not cleaning my brush in between these. Not because I don't like a clean brush, but my best, but still doesn't look too bad. This one's the Ring of Hearts. Or Heart Ring. Oh, I'm gonna need more red. Hopefully, I can get enough to do this. Give me a decent blob of red. A heck of a cleaning project when I'm done. Okay. No. Kitten is fascinated by the movements of the brush. This is a very bad idea. Because I want to differentiate the two hearts that are interlocked. I'm actually going to add just a tiny bit of white for the second one. That's so far. Now, I'm actually going to use this smaller brush still. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that white that has not been stained with the paint, stained with red to make pink, to paint all around it. For you guys love these long silences from me. I really need to not do them. I just get very focused on what I'm doing and I don't want to make a mistake, and so I go quiet. And then I realize after a few minutes, oh crap, I'm on stream. They're probably waiting to hear me talk. Whoops. Well, let's go ahead and say something, and then all I can think to say is the apology for having been silent. So, vicious cycle probably. I really do love the fact I can just paint over mistakes that I've made with acrylic and cover up my sins that way. Me accidentally bleed over the edge lines? No, I would never do that. Ending up with something that's akin to a pink and white camo on this, because I mixed the pink or the red and the white. Sometimes when I try to snag a little bit more white, I end up getting a bit of the red with it. Promise. The Grim Sleeper does not want to play with you. Not too bad, I don't think. Okay, that one to try. This one looks dried. Not bad at all. Now we get to the ones that are more traditional Christmas themed. So, first of those is the stocking. Why do a traditional red stocking when you can do a blue one? Now I can get a bit more bold with my stroke since I don't have to worry that I'm gonna go over the part that was already painted. It's a shame that one of my sons and I are the only ones actually looking forward to this trip. My spouse definitely isn't because um, he didn't like seeing my family because of my father. My youngest son is not looking forward to it either because my parents live out in the woods and his OCD is absolutely convinced that just being in the close proximity of the woods means he's going to be infested with bugs and ticks and all sorts of things. And I mean, part of that is because at one point he visited them, he went out and walked through the very tall grass of the pasture with their dogs, and of course he ended up with a few ticks on him. You walk through tall grass in Oklahoma, summer through fall, and yeah, you're gonna get ticks. But he's convinced that just the mere presence of the woods means there will be ticks. And I'm like, no, honey, that's not how it works. For one, ticks don't really like the woods; they like grass. Don't get me wrong; they can live in the woods. It's just not their preferred locale. Pretty good, I'd say. This one dried nicely, and it looks kind of like a sugar cookie. Some of these have turned out really, really well. I'm pleased. Okay, next. Present. Okay, this one I'm going to do the red for the ribbons. Line the ribbons so that it's clear which direction the ribbons are going. Switch to a finer tipped brush for the outlines, but oh well. Instead of doing blue for the wrapping paper, let's do purple. And then put blue as your background. I like that idea. Maybe the bow can be gold or orange or something. Who knows? Let's go ahead and trying to make it a point that when I paint the present, the strokes go different directions because I want to ensure that the paint, the different sides of the present actually stand out from each other. That it's not just, oh, this is purple blob with different lines over it. I want it to actually look fairly realistic. For doing the painting in sections, one little bit at a time, so that the initial section has a chance to dry before I paint the next section. Still gonna have to do black for the edges. Just the bow to go now. paint the background, which is going to be blue. So let's go with bright blue, actually. Two is the bow itself is going to be the darker blue. Or I'm going to outline it around it. The black on the bright blue gives it an almost cartoony pop feel. So if you can't paint exactly what's in your head, doesn't mean you shouldn't paint ever. Always try and do something creative every day. It's good for you. It's good for us as humans to make things, to do things like that, to sing, to draw, to write, to color. It is all something that's good for us. It improves our mental health. And when our mental health improves, that actually improves our physical health. So, yeah, pick up the coloring book and the crayons. It'll do you a world of good. All right, there we go with our colorful little present. Stocking has dried. Last one. This is our tree. Now, you might remember me having mentioned earlier in this screen that I don't have a good dark green. My choices are the Spanish olive or the wintergreen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Spanish olive and wintergreen, and then I'm going to add just a tiny bit of my black. so much wintergreen that I overpower that olive. But and mix that in. Snag some of the black. Mix that in. Black. And I think I'm going to add just a tiny. I say tiny, it's actually a big old blob. Serviceable hunter green. This is the last ornament, so we have made a lot of progress tonight. Well, I'm doing differently because I want to make certain that you can see the different layers of the tree and the needles. So I am doing two different colors on the tree. That's the tree. Now we need to do the ornaments, and I'm not going to bother with cleaning my brush because I'm just putting dots. I'm not anything but little blobs of color. So, wipe my brush off in between. on star. More orange and mix in some of the white. Because I have no yellow. Go figure. Right up. But I can actually, nope, that's brown. And for roast brown that I managed to accidentally mix orange into, but you know. Okay, not a bad start. I just gotta do the background, which I gotta figure out a color for the background. Let's do the purple. Let me get the brush clean. Done though. And I do really want to thank everybody who made it out to watch this impromptu crafting stream. I'm certain that you guys were looking forward to the gaming stream, and we will be doing it. It's just going to be delayed until tomorrow. So, thank you again for joining me, for your patronage. What viewers I get definitely encourage me to keep going. So, unless I'm actually doing the 5 point star with the, you make one line, you make another line, you make another line, etc., my stars did not look very good because they're a weird geometric shape, frankly. Um, the tree all outlined, so now I can just But yeah, we've gotten quite a lot done tonight. These will be all ready to go in the morning, well, afternoon when I wake up, and I can just pack them up with the uh, pear butter, hand them off to my sister, and she will distribute them to the various family members that live out of state, because I certainly can't. Couldn't even get off work to take a visit to my family. I had to wait for a weekend when I wasn't working, and my other half just happened to take vacation this week. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do this. So, you know, as soon as I'm back to work, they will be putting me back to work. Okay, so I'm going to take one last bit of the white. I'm going to mix it with the purple. And I'm going to do one last wash around the tree of the purple and the uh, white mix. And the reason I'm doing that is because the tree is dark enough and the purple is dark enough that I'm ending up with a tree that you struggle to see against the purple. So, I think this soft lavenderish color will look better on the ornament than the straight purple does. Inky, leave the clock alone. He is starting to listen to that noise, so there is hope for the dumbass kitten. Continues to be absolutely certain that the plastic cat skeleton must want to play with him. It does not. think he is convinced that the entire world wants to play with him, which sadly he is incorrect. Okay, there's the final one. See, I told you that that lighter purple would look better. Okay, so that's all the painting done. So we're going to go ahead and end the stream. And I hope that you guys had a lot of fun watching. I hope that you got some ideas for maybe some of your own crafts, some things you can make, can do. But I will see everybody tomorrow for the gaming stream, which is delayed until tomorrow. But you guys have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for coming out to the stream tonight. I'll see you next time.